All right, so I want to welcome us once again to, I think this should be day 3 of this training. Officially, this was supposed to be day 4, but because day 2, Mr. Jolly was having network issue. So this should be our official day 3. So without wasting much of our time, I want to believe we must have gone through our notes on what we did last time to have refreshed ourselves, because um, diving into today's assignment straight away. Mind you, everything we did or everything we have done so far was under the beginning part of a cell, or let's say a cell foundation. And today we are going into some important aspects of data analysis with Excel. Not that we have rounded up the basic aspects. So in the process, there are still a lot of basic aspects of Excel that are. So just make sure that you are following. We will still get all the necessary basic we need to know. Our focus today, just like I've sent to us via the WhatsApp group, we have few topics we want to cover today. So we'll be looking at data wrangling techniques in Excel. Also look at data analysis question drafting. Please, if you are not talking, I would advise you mute your audio. Good, thank you very much. Then we'll also learn how to identify dependent and independent variables or features in data sets. Then we'll look at group by analysis. So we are going to do a lot of analysis today, and most of the analysis or all the analysis we shall be performing today will be based on using Excel intermediate and advanced aggregate functions. So to start with, what is data wrangling? So data wrangling in Excel refers to the process of cleaning, transforming, and preparing raw data for analysis and visualization. It involves a series of steps to ensure data accuracy, consistency, and quality. Now, the whole idea is that as a data analyst, when you are given data, or it becomes your responsibility to sort out the data, in this case now, but if you are working for
So I'm here. I wasn't here. I wasn't here.
okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, so I'm still on what is data wrangling. So I'm trying to explain it. I said data wrangling as we have it on the screen. Data wrangling in Excel refers to the process of cleaning, transforming, and preparing raw data for analysis and visualization. It involves a series of steps to ensure data accuracy, consistency, and quality. So the focus here, or the target, is that before you commence your analysis on any given data, you are expected as a professional analyst to have examined such data properly. And while you are examining that data, or the purpose of doing that is for us to achieve 3 things. The first one is the accuracy, because when you analyze erroneous data, you will end up presenting erroneous or misleading statistics that can lead to disaster as far as this field is concerned. Whatever you are doing as a data analyst, you need to give it some level of professionalism, because don't forget, the stakeholders are going to make decisions based on your reports at the end of your analysis. So your report can either influence them negatively or positively. That is the reason why we are cautioned to always do what we call data wrangling, where we ensure the accuracy, the consistency, and the integrity or the quality of such data sets before you proceed with your analysis. So that is what data wrangling is all about. So let's look at some keywords that arrives in that definition, which until you understand, it becomes difficult for you to really know what we are talking about. The process of cleaning. So there is what we call data cleaning. Data cleaning is just like you are perfecting the given data set by eliminating certain errors or any sort of variables or figure or structure that will not make your analysis perfect. So the process of clearing such, the process of perfecting any given data before your analysis is referred to as data cleaning, which is one of the approaches which you must observe when you are given data set to analyze. Then I also mentioned the word transformation or transforming. To transform means you are changing the data state. For example, the moment
Hello,
you,
sir.
hello, can you hear me? Are you still
Okay,
having
please
network issue?
can you take the data cleaning again?
Okay, so like I said, the
Mhm.
data cleaning is the process of perfecting the data set you are given before you proceed with your analysis, which is a must-do step, a must-do operation when you are given a data set. You must start by checking or examining the data to know if the data is corrupt at one point or the other. Now, I was talking about the data transformation. Transformation, once you start cleaning your data, in other words, you are either removing a feature, or you are adding a feature, or you are deleting a value. Once that happens on that data, you have already started transforming the data set. So that is a transformation. That is changing the state of the data set you are given.
The audio is not stable.
No,
Is it
I wasn't hearing this audio is
is it my audio? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me now?
it's been breaking and coming back. It's not stable.
yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Okay. Let me see if I can change it. Let me change network. I don't want. Hello, can you hear me now? I think it should be better now.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. All right. So another keyword there is preparing raw data. Preparing raw data. Now, we need to understand that the data you are given to analyze did not actually start from you. So there is a department in data analytics field which is called data entry personnel or data entry. These are the people that collects the data from the live events happening during the sales. These are people who imputed, who put the data you are about to analyze together. They are referred to as data entry personnel. Is a department, is a job description of some persons in an organization. So the role of this personnel is to bring the data set together for you to be able to perform your cleaning and then probably proceed for analysis. So what we are saying is that data set you are given, you are not the one that collected it. And there is every possibility of the person that collected it not capturing your activity or not capturing you in mind while collecting such data. So as a result of that, such a data is bound to be unstructured. That is, it is not unsupervised, which means that the data was not properly structured during the time of collection. So these are the things you, as a data analyst, when you are given such a data, you take your time to restructure it, to perfect it. So when you are doing all that, changing the format of the data must have been given to you in Excel format. And meanwhile, the platform you want to use for your analysis does not support Excel format. So it becomes your responsibility to change the format to suit the application you are using. So the process of all this that I've explained is what we refer to as data wrangling. Okay, so if that is understood, remember I said different steps are involved for you to what? To perfect or to perform data wrangling. The first step, which we are going to dive into right now, is sorting out the data, importing the data from its storage. Remember in one of the lecture, I mentioned different sources where we can get data from. If you don't have data, you cannot analyze anything. So the first thing you are going to do is to sort out the data sets you want to draw insight for effective decision making from. So, but I will have prepared the data before this class, but I deliberately hold on so that you can see the entire process, and which you are expected to go through at the end of the class as well. The data set we computed the other time is not a well-structured data set. It is not advised that you analyze or you perform your analysis with such data. The reason is that the sales report or the sales inventory we created, we are just assuming values. We are just assuming the names of our customers. But in a real sense, those values never existed. So that is why we shouldn't start with such data. You are expected to be given a well-structured data, a data set that was collected during live events, during sales, probably during expenses. So those are the kind of data you should be given to analyze. So how do I go about my data at this learning stage? If you are working with an organization, that would not be an issue because the data will have been collected. But in this case now, we are learning. We don't have any given data set by any organization. So there is a recommended platform for learners to always go there to have access to live data set. And the website is called Cargo. So how do I access it? So I'll open any of my browser. So I'll type Cargo, or you can use your Google to search it out, or you use the browser URL if you have idea of the complete address. But if you don't have knowledge of the complete address, you can just say Cargo. Cargo. So once you click here, it will require you to register before you can actually use it. So let me just use here so we can go straight to it. www cargo.com. So all you need to register on this platform is to have an email address. So once you have an email address, you should be able to access this platform. This platform allows you to even learn some of the things you are learning from me and also access already made data. These are company read data that were published by some top organization. You can also search for data through other sources, but this is one of the most recommended platforms. Why? Because most of the data sets that are stored here, they are already converted to one of the most suitable formats across all analysis tools, which is common separated format. Now, I have already registered. If I have not registered, then it will have pop up a registration button. Then all I will do is to enter my email, create a password for always logging in here, and then that will bring you here. So you go to data set section because that is what we are looking for. Now, once you are in data set section, after clicking here, you search for the category of data set you would like to analyze or download. So these are some of the previous search. I search for sales, I search for empty car, I search for sales inventory. You can search for any form of data, being it medical data set. Just make sure you have the right keyword and then you get list of data set pertaining to that. Well, let's go through sales. So the moment I click on sales, all these are sales related data set spanning across different pages. So you can take your time to check. Now, one of the secrets of accessing, this is Amazon, so you can search for any type of data set. But one of the secrets of accessing quality data is for you to study the documentation of that data set. For example, if I click on this, it will bring out the description. And this is how you are expected to present your report at the end of your analysis. You start by briefing the stakeholder details of that data set, just like as Cargo is doing here. You can see this is about the data set. The growth of supermarket in most populated cities are increasing and market competition are also high. So you can read through for any data set you want to download. Take your time to read through the meta detail. The meta detail are all this information describing that data set you want to download. Now, the essence of this is for you to know whether it's going to be an effective data set, a data set that actually has a lot of insight that you will be able to draw as a data analyst so that you don't waste your time. At the end of the day, you find that the data set have nothing to write about. So once you go through it, one of the area you should make sure you understand is the attribute information. The word attribute here is talking about the features in that data set, which I also described in one of our lecture as the data objects, which are the headings. So this is where Cargo is briefing you about the heading you should be expecting from the data set you are about to download. So there is a header called invoice ID, computer generated sales slip, invoice identification number. Then there is a header called branch where you have 3 branches. So you can see from this, you can even start drawing some insight. So at the end of the day, if I can find profits or income, it means that I can analyze the profit or the income generated from each of these city. Now, you also have location of the supermarket. We have the customer type and so on. You can view more here. Then you can view the tabular structuring or the tabular structure of the data set, which at the end of the day will give you a clue to the type of data they contain. So you can see this is just like a preview of how the data set look like. So once I have gone through it like this and I am okay with it, the next thing I do, I hit the download button. And then the moment I hit the download button, the data set is expected to what? To download. Download is actually giving me different options. So this is the data sets in Python. So you don't need to go through that. Just download the data set as zip file, and this is the memory space it will occupy. So I'll just click here, and then you observe your download. Once the download is completed, it's going to download as a zip file. So what is the meaning of zip file? Zip file is just like the compressed version of an information. So if I zip file and send to you, is because I must have considered the volume of that data set that cannot pass through the channel at once. So what I will do is to compress it in order to reduce the volume. So, but when you receive it, you have to what? Unzip it before you can see the real information. And for you to unzip or to zip, you need an application, not just one. There are many of them, but one of them is called WinRAR. So WinRAR, this is a symbol of WinRAR, this book you are seeing. Once you see this symbol like this, it means that this is a zip file, and the application you have in your system is WinRAR. If I don't have WinRAR installed in my computer, the icon will be yellow like this, but it will carry a kind of zip icon on it. So to proceed to access this zip file, let me not go through here. So the normal channel is for you to click on your file Explorer. So I hope you are seeing the file Explorer, so which is this default folder. So once you click on it, you go to download. Download is a permanent directory. Now you will see the file or the data set you downloaded. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create a folder on my desktop, and I will name that folder raw data. This is how you are supposed to work as a professional data analyst. So I'll name it raw data. So all my raw data will be stored here. Let's give Lord a few minutes to join back. So welcome, Mrs. Onye.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Please kindly check your WhatsApp. I just dropped a message there.
All right. I'll do that right away. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so let's proceed. I think I was still on extracting the data sets we downloaded from Cargo. So let's go back there. Like I said, you open up your file explorer. So this folder is a default folder. You always find it on your window taskbar. So once you click on it, then it brings out this dialog box. So this dialog box allows you to
Sorry.
okay.
Sorry, please, I didn't see the file. Which folder did you say is the default?
Okay.
Okay, this is Explorer.
Yes, let me start again. So, we downloaded it from this website, the
Yes,
Cargo.
sir.
So after you have downloaded it, for you to access it, you have to go to the window explorer, this file explorer. Once you click on it, you go to your download folder. I said this folder is a permanent folder. It's part of the default channel that came with the operating system installation. You always find it here. So all your download automatically comes in here, except you redirect the download to a different directory. Now you click here. This is the data set that we downloaded. And like I told us, it came as a zip file, which means that it's encrypted. It's encrypted. Now we need to unzip it for us to access the data set we want. And to unzip it, what I was doing is that I created a folder and I call that folder raw data. As a data analyst, you are expected to have two different folders. The first one is the folder holding all your raw data, and then the second one is the folder holding your analyzed, maybe findings and the rest of that. The reason why you must not always analyze the raw data is because in case you perform your data cleaning or data wrangling and you mistakenly tamper with the original data, you can always go back to consult the raw data. So the first thing I want to do, I will extract that particular data set directly to this folder. So let's go there now. You right click on it and then you select extract all, extract all. Don't open. If you open, it's going to open it temporarily. So you select what? Extract all. So from extract all, just a minute. So from extract all, select extract all. Now, when it brings up this interface, what you are going to do, look at the directory here, C user Ewero download iCav. So this is not where I want to extract it. If I click on extract, it's going to extract it and store it in this same directory. So what I'm going to do to redirect it to that folder that I created, so I have to change the URL, the address I'm seeing here, by clicking on browse. So from browse, then you go to your desktop where you created the folder, and then make sure that you select the folder you created. Don't open it, just make sure that you select it and also ensure that the name of the selected folder is the one showing here. Then just proceed to select folder, and then you can see that the URL have changed, which means that if I click on extract now, it's going to extract the read data set folder inside this folder. So I click on extract, then you give it some time. So you can see you now have your data set inside the raw data. Now, the data set is already in comma delimited or comma separated.
Sorry, sir. I'm sorry to take you back. I beg. Don't be angry with me. Sorry. Please, from the Explorer file, I didn't get that. I was trying to find myself after coming
Okay,
back. I'm so
okay,
sorry.
okay. Now, I created this folder the other time that you timed out. So let me assume I'm starting to again. This is raw data 2. So this is a folder that I intend to store all my raw data. Now, we have downloaded the data set and we can access it in our downloads. Hope you understand to this level first.
Yes, I
Good.
do.
Good. So the next thing is for me to unzip this particular file because I cannot access my data set the way it is. This is an encrypted file. So I have to right click on it, then select extract all. Then from here, I have to change the URL, the location. Where do I want to save the extracted copy? This is not the URL because I created a folder called raw data 2. So I'll click on browse so that I can reach out to that URL, the folder. And the folder was created on desktop. Then from desktop, you locate the folder. Let's assume I want to store it here. Just tap it, not opening it, and make sure that the name of that folder is showing here. And then you click on what? Select. Then once you do that, you will now notice that the URL have reconfigured. It's now whatever you see as the last extension here is what determine where you are. So right now we are in raw data 2, and raw data 2 is a sub-element or entity of desktop, and desktop is a sub-element of Aguero, and Aguero is a sub-element of user, and user is the sub-element of drive C. So that is the information you are seeing here. So once you have ensured that you click on extract, then you can leave this particular environment and go to that folder to see if you have the data set. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So now the next thing is for me to examine, because this is this data wrangling, which is the topic we are dealing with right now. Remember, I said data wrangling involves the process of importing the data, cleaning the data, before you proceed to analysis. So now we have sorted out the first step. We have gotten the data set. Now the next thing is for us to examine what data type format is this, to know whether it's compatible with the tool we want to use for.
Can you make your screen bolder?
Okay, can you see it better now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the next thing is for us to examine the format of this data, which is still part of the data wrangling, because I need to consider the application or the platform that I'm going to use for analyzing this data to know if this format that came from cargo. Remember, we got it from cargo. So I need to examine what data format is this. The best way to do that, right click on it and select properties. So that will bring out a dialog box explaining the data set. So as you can see here, look at where look at where you can see the format CSV, which is mostly referred to as common separated value or comma delimited file format. This is one of the most acceptable format across all tools in Python, in SQL, in Power BI. Is one of the most used data formats. Now, that is how you can check the format of the data set you downloaded from cargo. Like I told us earlier on, that most of the data sets you are going to download from cargo, they are already formatted to CSV format. Now let me open this data. This is a cell icon. Now I want us to take note of something here. If you look at this icon, there is A. I don't know if you can see it. After the X, you can see A. If I open a pure Excel worksheet data, that A is not going to be there. But let's go ahead and see what we have in this data set. You just double click on it, then it will open with Excel.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
Talked about 1A. I didn't get that A. Which A is that?
Okay, so let me go back. Now look at the icon before supermarket. Look at the Excel icon here. You can see X and you can see A. I don't know if you can see it now. The icon,
Very tiny.
the
Very
icon,
tiny.
good. The icon before supermarket, you can see X, and then you can see small letter A. Mr. Jolly, I want to confirm that from you before I proceed.
I can't see you. It's so tiny. I wish you can zoom better.
Okay, let me try, and I can't zoom it more than this. So what I'm going to do now, but just look at the direction of the pointer. If you look at the direction of the pointer where I'm pointing at this particular place, you see two icons, X and A. Have we seen it? Okay, so now I only wanted to draw our attention to that, because once you can access the A, it means that your data format is already in CSV. If you can't find this A attached to the icon, then your data format is either in worksheet, which is the pure Excel format. We'll get to know that in a moment. Now, I wanted us to view the content of this data frame. So by double clicking on it, it will ask you with which application do you want to open the data. So I'll select Excel because right now we are currently on Excel. So I'll click OK, and then just for me to view the data set. So this is the data set we got from Cargo. Now, this data set is in CSV format. Now, supposing it's given to you in Excel format and you want to change it to CSV. Now that is in CSV, so I want to quickly teach us how to change from CSV to Excel format.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
What's the peculiarity of the CSV format?
Is a file format. There is no peculiarity. It's an encoded format. You understand? It's just an extension, just like a language that determines how that file is read. And the way you can see it or the way you can identify it is that it that I was showing us. Or you right click on it and select properties. It's an extension, sir. It's an extension. Is it clear to you?
Not really clear. I want to know because when we see X and A, we know it's in CSV
Don't
format.
worry, just follow. Don't worry, just follow me now. You get to know it now. You get to know it now. Now, just follow me. Just follow me. Your question will be answered now. Just follow me. What I want to do next now, we answer your question. Now, this is a CSV format. Please control your audio, please. This is
what you're answering is not what I'm asking. You told me to follow. I understand that, but I just say, please help us with the full meaning of the acronym again.
okay. The full meaning, I said common separated value. Common separated value. Okay. All right. So now, this file is already in CSV, and now we want to change it to Excel format. The reason why I want to show us this because of the topic data wrangling, changing file format. Because there are times somebody will forward Excel, pure Excel format to you, and you want to analyze it with a framework or a tool that requires CSV. So how do you switch the format? Now, this is already in CSV. Now, I want to switch from CSV to SSL, which is Excel format. So how do we do that? You just go to File, then select Save As. Then I want to choose that same storage, that raw data. In other words, I'm going to have two different raw data, one with CSV format, one with Excel format, which is worksheet format. So I'll select my storage. Then you can see this place that says save as type is already encoded as CSV. So that is what you need to change. So let me just name this one 2 in order to differentiate it since I'm saving them in the same storage. And then I'll click on this. And then these are different formats depending on this is PDF. If you are asked to convert this data set to PDF and send it to another party so that the person will not tamper with it in the process of sending it, you encrypt as PDF. PDF means postscript document file. That's the full meaning of PDF. Postscript. So it's also an encrypted file format. Now, the one we are looking for now, since our data set is already in CSV, then we have to choose Excel workbook. So you can see that I have changed the format. All I need to do is just to hit what? Save. The reason is that if you create multiple sheets and you are working on CSV, it will not allow you to update. In other words, to save your new entry until you save it back as Excel format. Now let's go to that folder so that we can compare the two formats. Look at it here. Look at the two icons. You can see this one does not carry A, while this one carry A. So the one with A is CSV. The one without A is pure Excel. Now let's assume that I want to check the property. Right click on it and select property. You can see it here. SLSS. That is the extension for pure Excel worksheet data. Hope that is clear before we proceed.
My my only challenge now, I can't see the screen. It's too tiny from my end. I'm actually struggling.
Okay. So just take your, don't know
Zoom
how
out.
to. Mr. John, you want to say something also?
I'm suggesting that she should zoom. Because for me to see what you are showing, I have to zoom.
Okay, you zoom your screen, right? Okay.
Okay, I've done that. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that suggestion. All right. So you can clearly see the differences. One carries A, one does not. And in case you don't want to use the icon to differentiate them, just right click on it and select property. Then you will see under format here, you will see it under type of file. So that is how to change your file format. So now let's go straight to the data set. So as a data analyst, we have sorted out our data set, or we have been given data sets to draw insights for smart decision making. So what is the next step, which is still part of the data wrangling? What is the next step? The next step is for you to study the data sets. Is a must step. On no occasion you should be given data, the next thing you start analyzing. No, study the data. Now, the importance of studying your data is that it makes you to have concrete understanding of the data structure and the variables in that data. The word variables here means we have the sub-variable and the main variable. The headers, they are features. We can also refer to them as the attributes. They are all variable. Then the values, the information you collected under each of the headers, they are called the sub-variable or values. Now, while you are studying the data sets, what are the things you should watch out for? What are the things you should study, should find out how many of them are in the data set, so that will guide you in drafting your analysis question, which is part of what we schedule for this session. Now, you start by studying the data objects, which are the headers, the attributes. We have invoice ID, we have branch, we have city, we have customer. And while you are studying the header, please take note of the type of values you have under each of them. Now, here we have unique value. The values you have here, they are not repeated. Then here we have repeated value or duplicated value based on how the transaction happened. Then here we have city, and also find out how many unique value are under each of these ones with duplicated value. We have 3 unique value here, A, B, and C. Then here city, how many unique value do we have here? We have 3, Yangon, Napitel, and Mandalay. So which means that this transaction took place in 3 different locations, like it was highlighted when we were about to download the data set. Then this particular organization also have 2 different types of customers. One is called member, one is called normal. So I believe their reason might be that those consistent customer, they are the member. Maybe those ones that they see once in a while, they are the normal customer. Now we have gender, and there are only two unique value there, female and male. Then we have product line where they listed all the various products they sold to these respective customers. Now we have unit price. What I'm doing right now, I'm studying the data because I am not the one that collected this data. That is the reason why I have to start my analysis journey by understanding it. Now we have the quantity, we have the 5% tax, we have the total, we have dates, we have time of the collection, and then we have different payment method the customers use. We have three unique payment method. We have e-wallet, we have cash, we have credit card, and then probably we have credit cards. I know there are three unique. Now we have COGS. So I don't know what the COGS means. You can go back to the documentation to understand what the COGS means. Then these are the value. Then we have gross margin percentage. We have gross income. Then we have rating. Now I can assure you that this data was collected through a website form. You know, if you are exploring some content on the internet, they will always ask you to rate, and then you click on 1 star or the 2 star or 5 star and the rest of that, and all these were submitted to the website backend database, and that is why we have it structured in a tabular format like this. Now that is to walk us through the headers. Now I also want to find out how many headers do we have in this data set. For me to check is to select the beginning header. Just make sure that you click on it, hold down the Control button on your keyboard, and also press down the Shift button. Then you will see by your right hand side arrow button. There are about 4 arrow buttons by your right hand side keyboard. You see the right arrow, the up, the down, and the left. Now click on the right. That will automatically select all the what? The headers. And then you get the value here. Count 17. So which means that I have 17 columns, 17 attributes describing this data set. Now, if I also want to check how many records are in this data frame. So I'll start with the first record. The first record starts with row 2. Click on it, hold down the Control button, the Shift also, then press the down arrow button, and that will highlight from the beginning to the end. And then when you check your status bar, you will also get the value to be 1000. So which means that there are total 1000 records in this data frame. Okay, so now the next thing I want to, okay,
Sorry,
you have
excuse me,
question?
sir.
Okay.
I didn't, when we do the Control Shift and the arrows, I didn't see where where the figures are showing what it is. I'm seeing 82 on my screen, and you're mentioning 1000, so I can't reconcile what you're saying.
Okay, so let me take it again. So I selected the first record, which is the first row, and then
Yes.
and I held down the Control and the Shift, then hold down the down, press the down arrow. Now I want you to look now. Can you see where I'm navigating at now?
The right or left?
Look at my arrow by the left. Sorry, by the right hand side. Can you see the arrow? Okay, look at it. Can you see it?
I'm not seeing an arrow. It's just a minute. I'm trying to read.
It's Glory. Can you see it? Probably hope your maybe your what is it called? Your Zoom. setting is not covering it. Miss Glory, can you see it?
Yes, I can see.
Mhm. So, Mr. Jolly,
Yeah.
have you seen it now?
Is
Have you seen
it on
it?
the right
By
of the
your
screen?
right hand side, my own right hand side. Look at the arrow. Okay, just follow the arrow. Can you see my arrow now?
I can see arrow now.
Oh yeah, just follow it as it's going down. Just follow it. Just follow it. Just follow it. Just follow it. Have you seen it?
Okay, down, not up. I
Good,
was checking
good.
up.
No, down, down. All right.
So when you did one of
The column.
the columns, was it here? You also found it.
Yes, yes. So let me just take it now. Can you see it now?
Okay, 16.
I did not start from the beginning. That is why. Let me start from here. So that will give us that initial 17. Have you seen it?
I've seen it. Thank
All
you.
right. All right. So all this is under data wrangling. You are trying to study the data. Now, the next thing I'm going to do now is to draft my analysis question. Now, but before I draft my analysis question, please always mute where you are not talking. The audio is disturbing. Okay. Now, there are cases whereby where you have multiple description like this. You have customer, you have type. Because of not for Excel, but in case we want to use the same data for Python and the rest, those languages does not accept giving an empty space in between your description. So instead, you add underscore to separate them. Anywhere you have multiple description, you add underscore or you mesh them together. I think another place where we have it is unit price. So just select the cell and then go to the header, then add your underscore. Like I said, not for a cell. So let me leave that. So the next thing I want us to look at is how do we draft our analysis question? Now we have studied the data. We assume that the data is perfect. There is no missing value. There are no places where we don't have value. All the cells are occupied with value. Now we proceed to analysis. But now for you to start your analysis, the first thing is for you to draft out your questions. The question drafting will help you to derive the insights, which will enable you to put your executive report together that will be handed over to the stakeholder for decision making. Now, from this data we just studied, I can be asked, so we are just assuming the questions now. So at this level you are learning now, you have to be in two different person's shoe. One, you be in the shoe of an analyst. Two, you also be in the shoe of the stakeholder so that you can reason like them. So it is actually more difficult to learn than to practice, because if you are practicing, the stakeholder or the manager or whoever you are working for will have somehow tell you what he or she wants from the data. At the end of your analysis, we want to get this, we want to get that, which means that the person have helped you to perform the critical thinking aspect. So it's just for you to start sorting out the respective functions to implement those demands. Now, but in this case now that we are learning, we will be doing the critical thinking by ourselves and also providing solution to those questions. Now, one of the critical thinking here is that I am assuming now, I'm now in the shoe of the stakeholder now, the CEO, that want to be guided in decision making from my report. Now, from the data variable here, we have branch. I am very sure that the stakeholder may be interested in this gross income, because in this case now the gross income represents like profit or what is more important. Now the stakeholder may want to know the generated income per city or per branch. So my first question is, analyze the gross income generated per branch. My second question is, analyze the total numbers of the transaction per branch. And then my third question is, analyze the average of gross income generated per branch. So those three questions can also be related to city. Those three
Please help us.
questions. Hello.
Sorry, please help us take the question again.
Okay, number one question. Number one question is, analyze the gross income per branch. That is the first question. That is summarize. Let's use the word, let's make it more professional. Summarize gross income per branch. That is our first question. Then the second question is, count or analyze the total numbers of transactions per the same branch. The third question is, analyze the total average of gross income per the same branch. So for me to answer these questions, I need to create my analysis dashboard. And then in there, I will also create my analysis table. Now, what is analysis dashboard? Analysis dashboard is a dedicated sheet or an interface for communicating your findings. That is what we call analysis dashboard. A dashboard is one interface, one environment that allows an analyst to present multiple findings. And these findings are going to be modeled with different model, like table or graph. So I will create another sheet and I will name that sheet my dashboard. Now, like I said, I need to describe the role of this sheet. So I'll go to my insert and then go to text, click on word art. So all these are still part of the basic. Then I'll simply type analysis so that whenever someone gets here, we'll know, okay, what is the role of this sheet? Analysis sheet or report sheet. So I can just position it at the top. If I want to format it, I can go ahead and do that. For now, let me just leave it like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is to outline my question. The question, let me just say Q1, and then I will merge the whole of this set together to write down that question. So merging means that you are collapsing two or more cells to become one. So you highlight across them, and then, sorry, I want to be sure that you are seeing. So you highlight across the number of cells you want to merge, then you go to home. So from home, you click on merge and center. So I have collapsed all those cells together. Now, what do I want to impute there? I'm writing the first question, which is what? Analyze total gross income per branch. Per branch. That is our first question. Now, you can format it by clicking on it and bolding it. These are part of basic. you can have color set you are working with. Your dashboard should be well designed. So let me just assume I'm using this, and I'm using so you can take your time to design it. You can increase it. You can also increase it. All these are part of the basic. All right. So that is the first question. Now let's quickly answer that question before I bring in the second question. Now let's go back to the data set. So this is where dependent variable and independent variable comes in. If you look at the question says, because it is the question that will help you to identify which one should be dependent and which one should be independent. As the name implied, dependent means that what? That particular variable or data or values depend on another value to derive their value or the expected results. While independent is the one that the other one is depending on, the one that doesn't depend on other variable. Now let's get it, you understand it now. Analyze total gross income per branch. Two variables are mentioned. One is branch, one is total gross. And both of them are features in your data set. So the question is that if I switch here, I'm going to be working with this as one of the variable, and I am also working with this. So the question is that between gross income and branch, which one is dependent and which one is independent? The analysis, the value here will be added or will be summed up based on the selected branch. So which means that the value addition depend on what? The selected branch. So in this case now, gross income is the dependent variable, while branch is the independent variable, because no value will be added here until a value under branch is selected. So that is, now once you identify now, you are to list out the independent variable in your analysis table. You are to list out the independent variable. Now, what do I mean by that? I will copy the whole of this. What I'm saying is that in your dashboard here, we are supposed to write branch. Let me just make it manual so that we are supposed to write branch, and then we will write total gross income. Now, this is where the calculation, the analysis will take place. Here, you just have to list the unique branches from the data set. So what I'm going to do, I will copy, because I am supposed to manually type A, B, C. But because in the case where you have a very long value, like here, typing it will be a kind of wasting of time. So what you do is that since you have those variable, those value here, just highlight all of them, Control C to copy it, then switch back to your dashboard, paste them under what? The branch. Now, you will not notice that they are duplicated, but what we need is just one branch representing all the summation of gross income in the data set. So we don't need A to be duplicated. We don't need C to be duplicated. So what I'm going to do is to remove duplicates, which is part of data cleaning now or wrangling. I will remove the duplicate, not manually. So I will use a function to delete all the duplicated value. And how do we go about that? Just select the entire value you want to remove the duplicate from. Once you have done that, then go to your data tab. From your data tab, you will see remove duplicate. Excel will capture the next information to that highlighted column value. All you need to do is to switch from expand the selection and select what? Continue with the current selection. That is, it detected this, but we don't want to mine those information. So I'll proceed by clicking on remove duplicate. Then Excel will identify the column with the duplicated value, which is column B. Once you confirm that, click what? OK. Now, this is a feedback that the total number of what? 997 duplicate value found and removed. At the end of the day, you have just 3 what? Unique value remaining, which is exactly what we needed. Now, the next thing is for us to write the function that will help us to summarize, because the question says analyze total gross income per branches or per branch, and you have already listed what? The 3 branches. So what we are about to do now is to tell Excel that under your gross income, locate this value here, sum up only value related to any of the selected what? Branch. So let's go back to our dashboard. So here I'm going to use an Excel aggregate function because we are aggregating at this point. And the one we are using is a conditional function. Why did I say this condition? If you look at the data very well, you will notice that if you look at the data, you will find out that the question does not say we should add everything. The question says we should add only where a criteria is met, and the criteria will be the selected branch. So if I am to add everything, then I can use sum. But because I am adding based on a defined condition or criteria, then I'm going to use sum if. So the if there that is added to the sum is a conditional statement. So of course, as a rule, you start with equals to, you type sum, and then you select the one with if. Now, once you have activated it, I told us the other time that when you are working with function will require or will request certain information from you for execution. And those informations are called argument or input or parameter. Now, this question has been activated, the function has been activated and is asking for 2 to 3 arguments to be supplied. The first one is range. The second one is criteria. And then the third one is the sum range. That's the value that will be added up. Now, most time, anyone that is in the square bracket, is optional. So any argument that is not in the square bracket is compulsory. If you don't submit it, the function will not execute properly. So which means in this case, our range is compulsory. Our range is compulsory. Our criteria is compulsory. Now, what is the range? Look at the question. You always look at the question for you to be guided here. Analyze total gross income per branch. So branch is a string, is a text-based data. While gross income, they are integer or floating type of data. So you supply the string first. So which means my range, I will leave this place and go back to my data set and highlight my range is going to be, my range is the selection of all the branches. Then I will add a comma because that was what the syntax says. After you have defined an argument, then add a comma. Add a comma. Now, if you go back to the question, let me go up here. Now, the moment you have supplied an argument, you will notice that that particular one will be deactivated. You can see that it's no longer active, which means that you have applied the range. Now, the attention has shifted to what? Criteria. So what is your criteria? Your criteria is the selection of one of those branches that you listed in your dashboard. So you switch back to your dashboard and select A. So at the moment we are summarizing for a branch. That is what it means. Then I will also add a comma. Now, the next argument is the sum range. The sum range must be number, or must be an integer, which can also be a floating number. So which means that the function sum can only add number. So if you supply all these arguments without supplying the integer-based data type, it's not going to work. So what we have said so far is that look into what is in this column, which is the branch. And then based on a branch, add the value. That is what we want to call now, which is the gross income. So you switch back to your gross income and call all the value there by selecting them, and then you hit enter. Then you can see that Excel have automatically analyzed the total gross income generated from only a branch. Now, I don't have to repeat the process for C, neither what B. All I need to do, because I understand that Excel have a lot of AI to know what I wanted, I could just autofill. So I will just drag this here. It will automatically what? Analyze the rest branches. Any question?
Please, can you go by it again? At some point, I didn't get the way we were selecting the criteria and the range. Well, from that sum, if,
Okay.
so I didn't get that part. I don't know if you can help us go by it again, please.
Okay. Now, let me do it again. Let's assume that I'm outputting this value here. So what I did is, first of all, activate the function sum if, because it's a conditional summation.
Yes.
And if your audio is disturbing.
Sorry.
Now, the next thing I did was to define the range. The range is the selection of all the branches from my data set. So I switch to my data set and then highlighted all the values under branch just to acknowledge the range where the criteria for the summation will be selected from. So, comma. After that, the next thing I did, I switched back to the dashboard and pick the criteria for the summation. So at this moment, we are using what? Branch A. So I selected branch A. Then I added a comma. And then, like I told you, this function can only sum up value, integer or floats, let's say numbers. It cannot sum text. So therefore, we have to supply the range where we have the values that will be summarized based on this selected branch. So we have to switch back to the data set and highlight all the values under gross income based on the question we are answering. And then I press enter. So after generating the first branch summary, I autofill for other branches. So that is what I did. Is it clear now? I hope it should be clear now.
Let's go on. I'll watch the video later on again.
Okay, good. Miss Gloria, are you with us? I want to.
With you, but I'm sorry, when you went back to sheet one to highlight, you were saying comma. Was it from that sheet one you entered the comma and it was reflecting in the dashboard sheet?
Yes, yes. At the
I
end
don't.
of supplying each argument, you must put comma. For example, after defining my range, I added a comma. Then after,
From sheet one.
yes, after defining my criteria, I added a comma before the last argument, which is the selection of the gross income value. Hope it's clear.
not so clear. Maybe I'll check the video again.
Okay, so
I would
let's
not lie at the point I was dozing. Sorry.
okay. So
It's my fault.
let's answer the second question. So the second question is going to do something like this.
Okay.
What is the second question? For those of you that wrote it down, what is the second question, Mr. Jolly? What is the second question? Mr. Jolly, are you with me? Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. So
Second question is
okay, don't worry.
analyze
Don't worry.
transaction.
Don't worry. I will create another if I not remember. Now I copy
Second
the
question is analyze total income. Are you not hearing me?
okay, I'm hearing you now.
I said analyze total transaction per branch.
Okay, total transaction. So let me see.
The last one is analyze total average of gross income per branch.
Number of trans. Just trying to edit first. So this question will involve counting function. So this time around we are counting, we are not summarizing. So it's the same branch. So what I'm going to do, I will, instead of me copying it, since it's the same variable that is mentioned, I will just do Control C and then paste it here. So you should know how to do all this to enhance your work. So copy it and paste because it's the same variable that is mentioned. Then here now we just put total trans per branch. So Ms. Glory, you can check very well now. You're able to get that you get an answer to that area you are not because we are doing something similar to what we just did. So now here, instead of me using sum if, I will now use count if because the question says total number, which means you are counting, you are not summarizing, you are counting, which is still part of a cell statistical function or aggregate function because you are still aggregating. You are comparing one variable outcome to another variable outcome. Now, you can see almost the same syntax. The difference is that this one does not carry that sum range because you are not summing. You stop at criteria. So here, the range is the selection of the branch. So you switch from your dashboard to your data sets and then highlight all the values on that branch as well, just like we did. Then add a comma. So once you have supplied one argument, you add a comma. Then once you have added your comma, then to select your criteria is the next. You can see it here. The criteria is already listed in your dashboard. So you switch back to your dashboard and select A. So in the case of counting, we are only working with two arguments instead of three that we observed in the case of summation. So with this, you press enter. So we have 340. We have 340 number of transactions that actually generated this gross income. And they will also have 328 transactions that generated what? This, because that is what we are trying to factor out. We have 332 number of transactions that generated this. Hope is clear. Let me change my alignment. Any question? So once you go through the video, you should be able to make sure you replicate everything that I've done. So from there, you'll be able to understand it. I know it's a bit logical. So this is the critical thinking aspect. that is required as a data analyst. So you don't think that you are not going to think, so it's going to stretch you. Definitely. This is what the common man, the owner of the data, is not able to do. That is why you are called as an expert that know the technicality on how to sort out this. Because just imagine the owner of the company or the data tracing each of these value to A, he will count 1. He will trace another one here to A, he will count 2. Just imagine the time that is going to consume. So, but with the application of the function, you see how we got it easily. So I think we still have another question, which is the one that talks about average. Mr. Jolly, can you help us with that question? I think it's that question talk about average.
Analyze the total average of gross income per branch.
Okay, total average. The average of gross income per branch. So we are still using branch. So make sure you pay attention because this question we work almost the same way with the one of summation. So I copy, then I paste. So total average. Total average per branch. You find a way of reducing the volume of your description. Now, equals to, this time around, we are using average if, which have almost the same syntax with the sum if. So this one requires 3 arguments. You are going to supply the range, the criteria, and the average range. That is the gross income, the one with value. The difference between sum and average is that sum will sum all the value and give you the total. While average will sum them and divide it by the total number of entry. That is the difference. Just like the way we were taught in secondary school. So I'll go to the data set and also capture all the branches first. This was exactly what we did for the summation, comma, then switch back to your dashboard and select the average criteria, which is the first branch, then add a comma. Now, the average also work with value, which are the values under the gross income. So you go back to the data set. This was exactly what we did for summation. Then you highlight all the values under gross income. And then you don't go back to the dashboard before you press enter. Once you have selected the last argument, you press enter. So this is the analysis of the total average. Let me align it. So I hope it's clear. So we will stop here. What you are going to do is for you to replicate the same thing. I'll try and send us the video. So go through it and give me something like this. Answer these 3 questions. If you have more questions, if you can answer more, you can go ahead with the same set of functions we have used. 3 functions we have used now. And these 3 functions falls under intermediate. Sum if, count if, and average if.